Hello and welcome once again to the Turret of Pleasure here in the Enchanted Kingdom of Hermione. I, as always, am your host, the Lord Chamberlain of the Enchanted Kingdom, Zip Gun. And we're going to do yet another episode of I Am That Sucker. But this one's got a little bit of a catch to it because I am that sucker, but I'm not that sucker as well. However, for every time I'm not a sucker, there's another sucker out there. And so this one is, I just received the new 50th anniversary box set of Over-nite Sensation by the Zappa Family Trust. And I figured while I was at it, I would take the opportunity to do the set that came up before this, which was a set called Funky Nothingness. And I'm going to do them in 2 in 1. Try not to keep it too long. Now, the great thing is that Funky Nothingness was released earlier this year. I can't remember exactly when. And the advanced hype on this was pretty fucking nutty. For example, the hype sticker, the quote, lost album, unquote, from The Vault, picking up where Hot Rats left off. Primarily recorded at the record plant in 1970 with a small core group and featuring unreleased music, some produced by Zappa himself. And so the lost album, really? Now I know my Zappa. I don't remember a record called Funky Nothingness. And nor do I remember any rumors of such a record. So, I don't know. Anyway, upon cursory examination, it is a survey of the area, like they say, immediately after Hot Rats and immediately before Chunka's Revenge. So it's 1970. It also, and if you read the notes, it coincides with the building of the record plant. And the record plant was a really great high-end studio. I think they had the first 24-track in LA. And so this was Zappa working in the new studio. Now, they're trying to sell this. Now, this got like 5 stars. People thought, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And so when I looked at it, I thought, well, I don't remember. Funky Nothingness does not sound like the kind of a album title Frank Zappa would choose for one of his albums. So I started to get a little suspicious. And of course, if you read between the lines, it's not a lost album at all. They've basically created Joe Travers, the Vaultmeister, who is doing sterling work, I gotta say. He's basically kind of created this idea that this was this potential lost album. And that doesn't really fly with me for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's nowhere good enough to have been a lost album by Mr. Zappa. And second of all, it's more a documentation of him finding his feet after the Hot Rats. And there is a lot of filler on this. And I mean, now I'm a Zappa nut, and I'll buy most of these. They're not cheap. This was probably a lot like $60. 3 CDs. CD 1, Funky Nothingness, the album, it says here, without the quotation marks, although they should be there. Funky Nothingness, which is apparently a track done in the Mothers of Invention days. And then Tommy Vincent Duo 1, which is a duet between him and his new drummer, Ainsley Dunbar. Now, if you're a fan of Ainsley Dunbar's drumming, you're going to want to hear this at least once, because he's all over this, and there's a lot of it's a lot of jamming. Frank and Ainsley jamming. Now, you can put this, now, CD 1 is really kind of, I guess, the distilled album, if you will. So there's a song called Twinkle Tits, pretty good song, instrumental. There's the original version of Charlena, which I've always thought was a really overrated song. There's a song called Khaki Sack, which is not bad. Tommy Vincent Duo 2 is just more wankage. And then there is Basement Jam, another thing that I don't think he'd ever title anything that. But there's Love Will Make You Go Wild, I'm a Rolling Stone, and Work With Me, Annie, Annie Had a Baby. These are three old R&B covers that they do with, now Sugarcane Harris is in this band. I should very quickly say, this band, Frank Zappa, Sugarcane Harris on vocals, violin, and organ. He is an amazingly unconvincing organ player, is Mr. Sugarcane Harris. Not a bad violin player. You know, Ian Underwood, keyboard, sax, rhythm guitar. Who knew? This might have been not too far from when he tried out for the Magic Band on guitar, but he kept getting headaches and he had to quit. Max Bennett on bass, LA session veteran, Ainsley Dunbar on drums. So a small band, 5 pieces. But now, okay. So it covers a gap in the discography, February, March 1970. Zappa was very prolific, as we all know, and this is a significant gap that hasn't really been filled previously. But there's actually some good reasons for that. First of all, most of this stuff that's any good at all ended up being kind of fined, and in some cases Flo and Eddie had joined the band and they were put on them. So most of the stuff here ended up on Chunga's Revenge, which is, in my humble opinion, not one of his better albums. I don't really like it that much. It's a little bit of an exploratory thing where he didn't really know which way he wanted to go, and ultimately went the way of the live Fillmore and Just Another Band in LA kind of route. But at any rate, this is sort of the prelude to that. And the album itself is okay if you like Zappa's fondness for old R&B. You know, they do very convincing versions of Love Will Make Your Mind Go Wild, whatnot. But the rest of this, the other 2 CDs essentially, there's outtakes of some of the R&B songs. Extra takes of Twinkle Tits, extra takes of Chunga's Revenge, which is just a jam. There's 12 minutes of the clap, which is the percussion track on Chunga's Revenge, which, I mean, 12 minutes. There's a 21-minute unedited master of the Tommy Vincent Duo, which you don't need even to hear once. It's just not very good. It's just fucking around. There's a song called Halos and Arrows, and a song called Moldred. And I forget, what are those 2 from? Those are worth hearing, but this is, I mean, Moldred, found at the end of an 8-track reel. Oh, I see, okay, then there's, so Moldred is him jamming with Ainsley, and then he overdubs bass on it. At any rate, this is Barrel Scrapings, folks. And I get it. There are people that really like this CD, apparently. I can't believe, it got nothing but good reviews. The reviews for this were ecstatic. It was stupid. I'm going to give this a 3 stars at the best, and that's because I'm a nut for Zappa. If I found it for $20 in the local record store, I'd buy it. Otherwise, I don't need it. And so what am I doing with it? Well, my dear friend, Eric Prue, the Emperor of Love, and the King of Spoo, he bought it because, like so many of us, we're just like, oh, new Zappa box, buy it, I got some money. And he bought it, and he said, oh, I don't know, what do you think of this? I said, well, I didn't buy it. I looked at it, and I smelled a rat. And I didn't think I was going to need it because I'm not crazy about this era anyways. And so he brought it out, and I'm sorry, Zappa Family Trust, I stole it. I stole it, put it on a flash drive, stuck it in my car, and listened to it. And I was really, really disappointed in this. And I like Frank, his work, hard working dude. This is only a couple of months out of his life when he was a little bit kind of finding a new band and whatnot. So it's worth hearing. I mean, I'm glad I heard it. I really don't need to own it, and nobody needs to listen to 21 minutes of him and Ainsley Dunbar unless they're Ainsley Dunbar fanatics. So there you go. That's that, and that's okay, great. But the one I was waiting for, of course, is this one. Now, fast forward 3 years, Frank has gone through the Flo and Eddie band. He's fallen off the stage. He got himself very badly hurt. While he was in a wheelchair, he did Waka Jawaka and Grand Wazoo, which is just unbelievably good. I mean, the guy, you got to just admire him. He was insane. And then, once he'd sort of dispensed and got the big band out of his system, probably because he got tired of losing money on it, because I'm sure he did, he decided to form basically a touring band and do a whole new thing. And he really did do a whole new thing. Whereas the Waka Jawaka Wazoo things were on Bizarre Records. I believe they might have been the last things on Bizarre. That ended their deal with Warner Brothers, Bizarre Straight, because they had 2 labels, him and Herbie Cohen. And so when that deal expired, they negotiated a sort of a new one, which was basically, I think, a renewal. But rather than have 2 labels, they just decided to have 1 label, and they called it Discreet, R-E-E-T, and Zappa, Arida. And people said it was because Frank was really keen on the new quadraphonic format, which was taking hold, which it seems certainly he was always into technical innovations in sound. So I can't believe he wasn't at least excited by that. And he put together for his brand new label a new band and a new record, and that is the record Over-nite Sensation, which everything about this record, like if you look at the cover is amazing. You look at the detail in the recording, the production. The production of this record is absolutely timeless. It could have been recorded yesterday. I mean, its accuracy in its detail and everything about it is just great. And this is finally, and the reason I bought this, the reason I would have bought this anyways, this was a lot like $100, $90 Canadian. 4 CDs and a Blu-ray, and I bought it for the Blu-ray. What's the hype sticker say here? The 5-disc box featuring the original album along with tons of bonus session sensations from the vault and 2 concerts. Yes. Also includes a Blu-ray featuring new Dolby Atmos mixes, the vintage quad mix, a high-res stereo, and that's exactly what you get here. And they give you this little slick on the back, which I like. The thing about these Zappa things is they're all a little bit different. They're kind of still finding their way, even though Universal is putting it out. Everything comes through Universal, Universal runs the entire universe. But this was nice because it was just on the back, but it comes off so you get the full cover. And this tells you everything really you need to know. And what you basically get is you get the album. Now, I know I've complained. This is funny. I complained with the Roxy box that you didn't actually get the Roxy album. And we may still see the Roxy album, I'll tell you later. But on this occasion, you get Over-nite Sensation. You get it on disc 1, on the regular whatever CD. You also get it in quad. You also get it in 5.1, and you get 2 high-res. I can't even read this. It's so fucking tiny. The 124, or what is it again? 96K24B quadraphonic, 192K4B, and 96K24B PCM stereo. Anyway, you get it every which way but sideways, which is great. You also get bonus vault sessions. Now these are, as with the Wazoo Jawaka box, all really great. They're here for a reason. There's for example, a really early version of I'm the Slime entitled Face Down with an anonymous band. They don't know who it is. But it's great to hear the song taking place. It must have come out of a jam or something. And there's lots of versions of the songs in various stages of development. There's the 50-50 organ intros, which are really interesting. There's little snippets of rehearsal from Dynamo Hum. What else was in here that I thought was pretty neat? Anyways, lots of just enough studio outtakes to keep you. Oh, Inca Roads. There's a bunch of Inca Roads because Inca Roads almost made this record. There's a take of Redunzel. There's a thing called X in China's Arf X Forts. It was called. All of which are musically great. The one thing about these boxes is just because it says, "Oh, look, Inca Roads," oh, it's gonna be like Inca. No. It's really different. Then there's the 2 gigs, and the gigs are great because this band wasn't that well documented. Now this is a bit of a weird band in that there's your band. This is the band on the album, except that it's missing Jean-Luc Ponty in the picture, and he's on the album. He's not super prominent on the album, and neither also not pictured is Ricky Lancelotti, the insane singer, who sings on Zombie Wolf and a few other 50-50. And there he is, Ricky Lancelotti. This guy doesn't look like he's completely just out of it. Yeah. Anyway, Zappa found this guy, and this guy's got an amazing voice, I gotta say. For what Zappa needed him to do, this guy was perfect. So he actually appears in he came out to 1 gig, and that gig is actually in the box, which is great. Sound on the gigs is good. It's not quite up. I think just before he got the Scully. So the sound is very good, but not what it ultimately would become. Where is the sound? Now, is this with Sal Marquez? Because Sal Marquez, this was the end of Sal Marquez's time in the band, and he is not. They don't give you the lineups for the concerts, which is a little bit difficult for me, because then oh no, he's in this one. Okay. And this is apparently all mixed up. These tapes. Zappa had taken chunks of these tapes out, and for further use. And then. This is Cobo Hall, May 1973. So this has a lot of apostrophe on it. It's got, and it also, but the great thing is it's got Dog Breath Variations, Uncle Meat, Exercise Number 4. I forget what that is. I think it's another piece that just kind of came in. And of course, these are all super different arrangements. Cosmic Debris, Nanook Rubs It. Now, there's a lot of great music in these live tapes. Don't You Ever Watch That Thing. 24 minutes. Really different from the Roxy version. And the best way I can describe it is, in the Roxy version, everything is paused. It was like, bum, bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, 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 bum. On this, there's no pauses. It's just playing it, bum, bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, 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 ba. And it's really busy and crazy, and like, I can see why he put the pauses in. It kind of lets the song breathe a bit. But it's fascinating to hear them do it this way. And that is the benefit of these live shows. The non-benefit of these live shows is that in some of the songs, particularly I'm the Slime, but also Montana, the ones where Zappa doesn't really sing, the ones where he's sort of narrating them, he sounds bored out of his mind. And he sounds like he's just got contempt for everything he's doing and the people he's playing for. You can just hear it in the delivery of the lyrics to, like, I'm the Slime, for example. And I'm the Slime really doesn't work live because, of course, we all got used to hearing the Ikettes going, I am the Slime in your video. And, of course, on the live versions, nothing happens there. They just play the riff. So there's a few of these. Montana is kind of okay. But again, without the Ikettes and without the icing that the studio version has, it's ultimately just a little bit of a letdown. So, but still, there's really no, like, these two don't compare these boxes. There's almost no filler in this. Like, literally, I have yet to run into any filler. And to boot, it came with the original 4.0 quadraphonic mix. Now, I have owned a copy of this vinyl quadradisc forever. but I've never had a properly functioning CD4 quadradisc system that would actually friggin' work. Now, here I got the, look at, and I'm not joshing you, because there's my Shibata stylus and my Audio Technica special quadraphonic cartridge that goes up to like 70,000 cycles, so you can get all those rear frequency modulated things. And I never ever got it to work properly. So for 50 years, I've wanted to hear this thing in proper quad. And now, thanks to digital technology, I plug it into my friggin' PS3, plug it into my thrift store Harman Kardon AVI 125, and it just comes out perfect. And I'll tell you what, that's bucket list achieved. So, and this is, I've been having a lot of fun with these quad Blu-rays that are coming out, and I'm going to do, I think I've done some reviews already, but I'm going to slowly get as many as I can, because the 5.1 mix is excellent, by the way. Yes, there's stuff sent to the subwoofer, so most young people will opt for the 5.1 because it's just a tiny bit maybe richer, I don't know. But the nostalgist in me was just absolutely rolling in the 4.0. And I'm really glad they included it. It wasn't, I mean, I probably would have bought this anyway, but the inclusion of that made it I had to like pre-order it. I want it more immediately, if not sooner. And I hope they do this. I no doubt there's an apostrophe box in the works. And if they're listening, this was really good. Everything about this was great. There's nothing. I like the clamshell is finally sensible. It's side by side instead of bottom up. The cover was very faithfully reproduced on inside the box. Good attention to detail, high level of quality. Worth every cent I paid for it because I'm an enthusiast. But even people who are maybe people who like, for instance, are into surround and like Zappa, but they're not huge fans, they might actually buy this because it's full of good music. And all I can ask out of any box set for any special project is that it be mostly great. And this one, I mean, the focus of it was the album that is widely acknowledged to be the record that really started it for Frank. Apostrophe, it was his actually better selling record, but this went gold eventually. And like I say, the attention to detail in the cover and everything, you can tell this was meant to be his big move. This was to him what, Let's Dance was to David Bowie. New label, new beginning, let's go, let's do it. And he did very well. To the point where apostrophe, like I said, there'll be an apostrophe-free box. I'm hoping and praying it's like this. It'll have the album, it'll have the quad, it'll have a 5.1, it'll have a couple of relevant gigs. Maybe we can get some jams between Jack Bruce and Jim Gordon. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, I'm sure there's just tons of this stuff. So, Joe Travers, thanks, and Weasel and Moon and Diva and Amit, you're doing your dad justice. And even though I shit all over this, I kind of did. I mean, it's got to come out. It's got to come out. I don't have to buy it, but I think they tried just a little bit too hard to sell the lost album thing. But it's the record business. You gotta sell. You gotta sell it somehow. And I hope it did well. I hope they sold lots of them, and I hope all the Zappa insane fanatics out there gobbled it up and loved every second of it. I may be a little bit less of a fanatic than some, so there you go. Just my opinion. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I got more stuff in the pipeline. It's gonna come in, so I'll keep these coming as long as I got cool stuff to talk about. Thanks. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you anon.